Good afternoon. It's a beautiful and pleasant and sunny afternoon here where we're located in Jamaica. I hope it's just as pleasant wherever you are. If it's a little bit cold, get some of our sunshine. We're so happy to have you. Welcome to all our parents, guardians, and children, and of course,
Like
our friends.
one, two.
We're honored that you chose to join us for the fourth session in our eighth series, Parenting Empowerment Initiative. This series is a collaboration between the Northgate Empowerment Place, N-PEP, and the Retreat Primary and Junior High Parent Teachers Association. The Northgate Empowerment Place, N-PEP, is a values-based parenting initiative spearheaded by the Northgate Youth and Family Development Foundation, the NYFDF, in collaboration with other strategic partners. The primary focus of N-PEP is repositioning powerful, values-based parenting as a starting place for nation building. The chairman, Wesley Boynes, is the facilitator for this series. He has been intricately involved in the Jamaican educational landscape. One interesting fact is that the very first school interaction that Mr. Boynes had was with the Retreat Primary and Junior High. This was many years ago, before some of your children were born. We also have four beautiful parents who will be our panelists during the panel discussion. They are Michelle Grant, Edward Parchment, Avia Gibbs, and Paul Campbell, who is joining us online. This afternoon's seminar is sponsored by the Catalyst Bookstore, located at shop number 44 at the Ocean Village Shopping Center, Oterias. The Catalyst is a place where you come for all your books, your educational books, your life-giving books, books parenting. And Family Development Foundation, which is a not-for-profit organization that conducts various initiatives, staff development programs, grief counseling, institutional strengthening programs aimed at improving the quality of life of community members, school leaders, students, children, and senior citizens. He is also the past president of the Jamaica Independent Schools Association, JISA, where he served as president from 2013 through to 2017. He is also the founder and chairman of the Northgate High School. This is a private high school located in Oterias, which focuses on helping students to excel in character development and academics. This was started in September 2012. Wesley Boynes is very committed to the Jamaican cause and has a vision to see a strong Jamaican nation emerge and take its place as a leader in the world of human development. He loves to encourage and help individuals and organizations to go beyond their perceived limitations in order to develop their fullest potential and capacity, and in so doing, discover their God-ordained destinies. In this regard, Mr. Boynes refers to himself as a life developer and believes that God has given us all we need to develop strong and powerful lifestyles, so we really do not have to settle for second best. He is married to Angela, and they have three children, Rina and twins Jabulani and Jodelani. Welcome. Thank you, Mr. Boynes.
Thank you very much, Claudie, for that assistance in that wonderful introduction of the NYFDF team and myself. I'm really, really happy to be here, and looking forward to the interaction over the next hour and a half or so with not just the parents of Retreat Primary and Junior High, but parents from other places as well who can love. And all parents are welcome to participate this afternoon. And I want to congratulate the parents of Retreat Primary and Junior High and the Guidance and Counseling Department up there for facilitating this process with the parents. We have about over 80 parents involved in this process, which will be 8 sessions. We started in November of 2019, and the parents have shown tremendous commitment. I remember one of the sessions, it was a very rainy day, and they still came out. I think that was last month. And even though we have a situation going on all over the earth with the COVID-19 situation, we decided that we will use technology to continue the process, because this will be 8 sessions. Today will be session number 4. And we hope to end in sometime in November later this year with a graduation of all the parents who attended at least 6 of the sessions. And I hope that parents will be able to log on right now. And you can call your friends and ask them to log on, because this will be very beneficial. And those who did not hear or they had to go to work today, they will be able to go to YouTube later on and other platforms to access today's session. Today we will be looking at the power of effective communication. And as Claudine introduced the other panelists, I'm really happy that they are here. I know these people very well. These are excellent parents. I am privileged to observe them at very close quarters. So you are not just hearing theory and talk. We have a group of people here who have walked the walk, apart from talking. Michelle Grant is the mother of one beautiful daughter. Edward is the father, he and his wife Keisha, the parents, the 2 beautiful children, boy and a girl. Evia is the mother of 2 excellent young men. Paul has 3 daughters. He has no sons as yet. I heard that he's still trying. I don't know how true is that. But he got 3 very beautiful girls, and I have 3 children. And we're still holding up hope for Claudine as well. We heard that when she gets married, she'll have about 12 children. So she looks fit and ready. So any young man out there, please call me, and I will see what I can do or say on your behalf. This is a global appeal now. So let's see what will happen coming out of this call. Okay, so we talking about the power of effective communication. Communication has different components to it, and I want to underline firstly the issue of listening. A lot of parents are losing their children because they are not listening to them. And towards the end of 2018 into 2019, we were asked to conduct an interaction on behalf of the Ministry of Education and USAID with some schools all over the island. And all of the regions, schools were selected, and children were taken out of these schools who were considered trouble kids. And we've configured this session in a way where the parents and the children had to sit together. And in one of the sessions, and more than one, we interfaced with the kids and asked them what was their biggest challenge that they were having with their parents. And all of them said that the number one issue was that the parents are not listening to them. These are high school kids, I should say. And all of them indicated that their biggest challenge is that their parents are not listening to them. And the parents, as far as they are concerned, they are listening to their children. And I realized that what the children considered listening was very different from what the parents considered listening. So I want to deal with that issue today, the issue of listening, because a lot of parents, as I said, are losing their children because they're not listening. Okay? Communication requires a commitment to listen to your child. You have to listen to your child. Very, very important. The person who engages the signals of the child is the one who is really influencing the child. So parents, I know you work hard, you're paying the school fee, you make sure the child has maybe a room to sleep in and a bed and be comfortable and all of their needs are met. But are you taking time to listen to that child? And you need to understand, regardless of how much you provide, how much of their earthly and human needs you provide, the person who takes the time to sit down and listen to the child is the one who's really influencing the child. So the question is, are you the one influencing the child? Yes, you are taking care of the child's needs and you make sure they are educated and stuff like that. But are you influencing the heart of that child, the mind of that child? Because it's only the person who is listening to that child will be the one who call the shots as far as the shape of their thought systems are concerned. And to me, this is a human need. It's not just children alone, adults of any age or stage. When you meet someone who engages you and they listen to what you have to say and they show an interest in your perspective, in your opinion, and what you are feeling and what you are dealing with, okay, that you are drawn to that person, that your heart becomes wide open to that person. And parents have to engage in signals of their children because children, they have different ways of communicating. It's not just through words. And parents, you have to learn the signals of your child. Every child is different. I have 3 children, and 2 of them are twins, but they're all different. Okay, and I have to learn to read the signal of each one. One is a bit emotional, one asks a lot of questions, one gets kind of quiet, and the quietness sends a signal. And I, as a father and their mother as well, have to read the signal. If that one who get kind of quiet, her mother will tell me, this one is quiet, you need to check her out. And I know as the communication is made, and most of the time you go, there's something to be discussed. So parents, can you read your child's signals? Because every child has different types of signals. And these are very important issues for us to look at now, because right now, a lot of you parents are home and your child is with you or your children. There's no school for you to drop them off. The whole COVID-19 situation has made you a captive audience to your child and vice versa. And so parents and their children have to work out issues now. You all got to work out the issues now because there's nowhere to go. Because outside waiting for you is the COVID-19 virus. You can't go out in the night and get away from them. So now is a good time for parents to learn to read their children properly. You are supposed to be able to read your child like a book. Because the Bible says that we should know. The Bible is talking to shepherds or leaders that know the state of your flocks and put your heart into caring for your herds. This same principle applies to children, to parents and children. Your flock is your children. You are the shepherd of these children. And let me say that children of all ages send signals when they are in physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual distress. Sometimes a child is doing very good at school, getting good grades, but that child is going through an emotional situation. And a lot of us parents, we become careless because you see that child got an A and you let your guards down. Once that child got an A or becomes first in the class, you're happy with that. A lot of times I see parents, I don't understand in some homes how children become abused. And yet that parent never saw the signals of an abused child because they were too busy or they did not take time to read their child. I have dealt with adults who were severely abused, and up till this day, their parents did not find out. They have to be the one at 25, 30, 35 years to go back to the parents and say, I was abused by the helper. I was abused by my stepfather. I was abused by the uncle. And the other parent is in shock. So it is very, very important for us to understand the signals which our children would send to us. A big issue of communicating with your child is listening. Communication does not live on a one-way street. Parents, communication does not live on a one-way street. Listening is a very critical component of communication between parents and children. And true listening requires patience. It requires self-control. It requires eye contact. Let me go over those three. Patience. Because sometimes some children coming to you and trying to communicate to you, they take the colorful route, the long route. They're trying to get right there, but they take the long way around. And you have to be able to just stay put. Switch off the phone, switch off the TV, switch off the radio, and listen. And sometimes we don't have the patience. We want the child to get to the point. And sometimes that child has something very important to say to you, but they just don't know how to bring it out. So no, they are taking their time to settle down. And they may go on and on and on, but they have to wait. True listening requires self-control. And the reason why I picked out self-control is because sometimes children they may not say things the right way, and they may say the wrong way. And if you have no self-control, it may evoke a response from you which may shut down that child. And that child will say, I can't bother. It's okay. That have happened many times with children trying to speak to their parents about some issue, and the parents didn't like where the story is going, but the child wants to be transparent. But because the parents could not exercise self-control and self-government and manage their emotions, they respond in a way which caused a child to shut down. Eye contact. Parents, look at your child when that child is speaking to you. Very important. If you do not look, a child who was abused by a bully today at school or by some slimy family member, and you come through the door very busy and you're going straight into the kitchen or on the computer or wherever, you ask that child, how was today? And you didn't look at the child, and all you heard was good. But if you had looked at that child, you would have seen the shoulder drop. You'd have seen the head drop down. You'd have seen some body movement, some signal. You'd have seen a change in the feature of the facial feature of that child. But we are not paying attention because life is so busy. And that's why COVID-19 have to slow. It is taking COVID-19 to slow down some of you today so that you can take time to listen to your child. But that should not be so. COVID or no COVID, we have to take time to pay attention to our children when they want to speak to us. Very, very important. True listening requires us focusing and paying attention. Focusing and paying attention. Sometimes children deal with situations which they find very difficult to articulate and to explain. And you have to focus, because every one of us, if we are talking to someone, we know when they're not listening or not, whether they're listening to us or not. We know when they're distracted, when their mind is gone off on something else. It is very important that we pay attention. Empathy. That's part of listening. And sometimes children in their little children stage and in their children world, they may be describing an issue to you which in your adult mind is not really important. But it's important to them. Are you a good listener, parent? And a lot of times we parents will say yes, but will your child say the same thing about you? In a physical setting, if I had a children here, a session like this, I would have the children with their parents. And I would ask the children the same question: is your mommy or your daddy a good listener? Timing is an important part of listening. There's a time to listen to your child. There's a time when you have to drop everything, cancel appointments, and listen to your child, because that may be the only window of opportunity that you may have to have that important conversation with that child who is open up at that particular point to communicate to you. Let us not give our children the impression that we are too busy to listen to them. And some issues have to be dealt with at the right time. Otherwise, we will no longer have the opportunity to deal with it. Understanding. We have to, when you are listening to someone, you have to show that you understand what they are trying to say. You may not agree with them, but you have to show that you empathize and you understand. Very, very important. The last part of listening, I would say, is discernment. In our setting, in our church circles, we call it the thing behind the thing. That's how we describe it in our Congress. The thing behind the thing. A lot of times I find that young people, what they're telling you is not really the problem. But if you don't listen out completely, you would think that what they're saying is the problem. But if you listen properly, with patience, with self-control, showing eye contact, focus, paying attention, showing empathy, sitting down with them at the right time, understanding what they're saying, then you will discern that the real problem is not what they're highlighting. The real problem is something else, and that is where parents have to pray for discernment, and it's something which the Lord wants to give to us. Very, very important. There are some communication rules which I would like to share with you all. The first issue is, parents, we have to be respectful to our children. Be respectful. I find in a lot of instances, adults are guilty of being disrespectful to children. For example, when they are speaking, we cut them. We do not wait until they are finished saying what they are trying to express to you. It is very, very important that we show respect. When you are speaking to someone and they cut through your comment or your sentence or what you are trying to say, you feel disrespectful. The same thing with children. This is not just an adult issue. Children feel the same way. And whether you agree with them or not, because it's not every time we agree with our children, but whether we agree with them or not, when we take time to listen them through, they feel respected. Very, very important. Another communication rule is, do not jump to hasty conclusions. Do not jump to hasty conclusions. Wait. Be patient. Be patient. Okay, I was in one seminar in Portland, a parenting seminar, dealing with some young people. One of the young fellas, he was on the verge, I think he was expelled from school. But he and his mother came to the seminar. And I said, let me talk to the young man first. And in talking to him, he said, nobody's listening to him. And he said the guidance counselor is not listening to him. The principal is not listening to him. His mother is not listening to him. In fact, she was there when he started to speak, but she kept interrupting him. So I said, Mommy, you go outside and wait for me. And when she left, he was able to give me the full story. And then he told me what happened. And everybody came to the wrong conclusion because he gave some trouble in the past. So it seemed like they were judging him from the past. But this time around, he was not, he was not wrong. He was correct. He was innocent. He was not guilty of what they were accusing him of. But they were not listening to, and they were jumping to hasty conclusion. So his mother came back And I said, Mom, I want you to stay quiet right now. Do not say anything. And I want this young man to give his side of the story. And then he gave his side of the story, and she was like, so why didn't you tell me that all the time? So I was like, Mom, he was trying to tell you right in front of me, and you kept interrupting him. Okay, and then, she apologized, and so she had to go back to the school with the young man and sit down and work things out with the principal. But all of that happened. A young man became expelled, and his education became disrupted because people were jumping to hasty conclusion. Okay, and that is not right, because the less you talk and listen, the more you understand. It's a rule of communication. Parents, try to keep quiet while the children are speaking to you. The less you talk and listen, the more you understand. Okay? So you have to be gentle. Okay? I know in Jamaica we have this shouting stuff. But let me tell you something. Shouting or aggression will just close down the heart of your child. Shouting at them. Sometimes I see parents shouting at little kids. Young little kids. And the parent is there shouting down at them. Okay, and that aggression or behavior will just shut down the heart of the child towards you. But gentleness will open the heart of the listener, because the Bible says a soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. So parents, it's important that we guard our mouth. Proverbs 21:23 says, whoever guards his mouth and tongue keeps his soul from troubles. Very, very wonderful verse. So I find in the issue of communication between parents and children, in my experience, a lot of parents find themselves in a lot of problems. The relationship with their child becomes disrupted because they do not guard their mouths. Okay? The Bible tells us about the power of the tongue. Okay? The Bible describes our tongue as deadly. Okay, I'm just going to read through real quickly James 3, scripture in the Bible. It says, for we stumble in many things. If anyone does not stumble in word, he's a perfect man, able also to bridle the whole body. Indeed, we put bits in horses' mouths that they may obey us, and we turn their whole body. Look also at ships. Although they are so large and are driven by fierce winds, they are turned by a very small rudder wherever the pilot desires. Even so, the tongue is a little member and boasts great things. That little tongue in your mouth. And the tongue is a fire. The tongue is a fire, a whirl of iniquity. The tongue is so set among our members that it defies the whole body and sets on fire the course of nature, and it's set on fire by hell. This is the Bible describing the tongue. For every kind of beast and bird, of reptile and creature of the sea is tamed and has been tamed by mankind. But no man can tame the tongue. It is an unruly evil, full of deadly poison. What a dramatic way to describe our tongue. But no man can tame the tongue. With it we bless our God and Father, and with it we curse men who have been made in the similitude of God. Out of the same mouth proceed blessing and cursing. My brethren, these things ought not to be so. Does a spring send forth fresh water and bitter from the same opening? Can a fig tree, my brethren, bear olives, or a grapevine bear figs? Thus no spring yields both salt water and fresh. In other words, we cannot use the same tongue to cast down our children, undermine their self-esteem, and at the same time use the same tongue to tell them we love them. They will not believe us, and it can cause a wedge between you and your child. About 2 years ago, I met a parent, and she was very distressed. And I said, what happened to you? Her son had died a few months ago. And, she was obviously very depressed about it and feeling bad about it. But what made her feel worse is the last conversation she had with that young man. She came home from work the evening and she asked him to take out the garbage. But the way she did it, because she asked him to do it in the morning, so when she came in the evening, the garbage is still in the kitchen and the whole place wasn't smelling right. And she got crazy and mad about it. And she gave him a good customer off, told him to go take the garbage out and told him all kind of crazy stuff. You're ugly like a pooper and all kind of things. When he went outside to take the garbage out, a car passed by, knocked the child over, and the child died. So what is haunting this lady is that the last conversation that boy had with her was the cussing she gave him. Okay? She accepted that people die. But the last conversation which she had with her child is what she cannot get out of her head. Because she could have corrected him, but in a better way. Without the abuse. So she learned that lesson a very hard way, and there's no opportunity to say, I'm sorry, I should not have spoken to you that way. So parents, I want to leave with you some communication rules. Very, very important. Be an example. That's the best way to communicate with your child or your children. Without saying a word, you can tell your child what to do. The greatest responsibility of all parents is to be an example to your children. You cannot tell your child, do as I say, but not what I do. You can't tell a child, don't let me see you smoking while you're choking on a cigarette. You can't tell a child, I mean, in one of our seminars in Montego Bay, one of the fathers, he was upset with his son because his son is womanizing. The high school young man says, Pastor, my son shouldn't womanize. He's running on all the girls at school. But when I asked the gentleman, how do you live? He has a different girlfriend every month. His son was there in the meeting. Every month he had a new girlfriend. And he was saying, well, I am an adult. I can do what I want. He's a boy. He should behave himself. So I asked him, well, who will be the example to do this child? You want this boy to stop running on girls at school while you have a different girlfriend every month, 12 months in a year? It cannot work. And he just couldn't deal with that. As far as he's concerned, children should be children. And he, as an adult, should be able to do whatever he wants. No, when you're a parent, you now have to live a very restricted lifestyle. And one of the ways you transfer and communicate values to your children is by your lifestyle. It's a great communicator, your lifestyle. Your conduct must speak more to your child than mere words. Very, very important. I want all the parents to understand. Your conduct must speak more to your child than your words. In closing, I want to share the 3 important messages which we should communicate to our children. 3 important messages. 1, that you love them. Unconditional love. Your love to them is not based on whether they how well they do at the exam or what achievement they do out there, whether they make the football team or not, whether they become first in class. Your love for your children should be unconditional, and they should know that. Your child should be absolutely convinced that you love him or her. The second message is family values. We have to communicate the values that we stand for. I always ask parents to look at your past, and what about your past you will not like to see in your child? Or what about you would like to see in your child? Do you want your child to be like you? And when that child look at your life, they must see the values. And if you made mistakes in the past, just let the child know that was a mistake. This is the right way to do it. And the third issue, which I think parents should communicate to their children, is that God has a purpose for their life. No child is a mistake. And I know parents, some of you got children that they weren't planning for. But that's not the child's business. The child is here. And your conduct should be a way that should show that child that you are glad that that child is here. About 20 years ago, I had to deal with a situation where this young man, he was just on drugs. And maybe 25 years ago, this young man was on drugs. And his parents are lawyers. But the thing about his drug addiction, he would steal their things to sell to maintain his addiction. But he wouldn't steal from nobody else. The only person he stole from was his parents. And they did all kind of things trying to cure him. They sent him overseas everywhere, all sort of things, and nothing was working. They spent a lot of money trying to cure this boy. So I asked them, what have you done to this child? They say, we didn't do anything. And I said, something went wrong, man. Think back. And the parent, they thought, and then they told me that when the wife got pregnant, both of them were planning to go overseas for their law degrees. Both parents are lawyers. So the pregnancy was bad timing for them. So as soon as he was born, they sent him to his grandmother. They went away for a couple of years, got their degrees, came back. He was about 2-3 years when they were coming back. And when he saw them, grandma said, there's daddy and mommy. The boy ran for his life, ran into the forest. They had to go look for him in the bushes. Okay, and the child was angry that his parents was not there because he's a smart child, 3-4 years old. Where's mommy? Where's daddy? And you know, back then there wasn't so much Skype and all these different things. So he was angry. And I told him, you all need to resolve, because what happened, based on what they told me, that child got rejected from the womb. When that lady got pregnant, there was no rejoicing. It was like, oh my gosh, I'm pregnant. And we have to go away and study. Okay, and children feel regret. The response what should have been, this child is God's plan. Even though we weren't planning for this child. And every action, every thought from a baby stage right up, children should hear from you. You should be communicating to your child that you are unique, you are different. God has a plan and a purpose for your life. Parents, if you have a disruptive relationship with your child or children, maybe there's something in the past you have to deal with. And we are here to help you deal with that. Reach out to us. We're going to give you some phone numbers at the end. You can call us or write us, and we'll walk you through and process the best way we can. So I just want to put that on the table for us to consider. Amen.
Amen. So let it be. Now, in listening to Mr. Boynes this afternoon, three of the things that I heard, 3 things to be communicated to your child. Tell your child that you love them. Communicate the family values. There must be family values. Family values have to be built. And communicate to your child that God has a purpose for his or her life. That has to be told. And as I was listening, I remember growing up, and there was a thing that we used to say here in Jamaica: children should be seen and not heard. So that means if you're around adults, you keep quiet. Shush, say nothing. But then we are in another time, another era where we have our parents, our children will say anything to anybody, anyhow, and the parents are, oh, he's so cute, or she's so cute. But as she stays, as she stays, I'm not going to let her say anything. I'm not going to call her, because she must learn how to take care of herself. But we are hearing something differently this evening. And so we will now turn to our panelists. As we said before, we have 4. Well, I said 4 beautiful persons at the beginning. I will say 2 beautiful ladies and 2 handsome men. one of the gentlemen looked at me and wondering why. I mean, he was wondering if he was really beautiful. Yes, Edward, you are beautiful. And I'm sure your wife, Keisha, just loves you because you're a beautiful gentleman. Beautiful. And Paul's wife, Marcia, loves him because he's beautiful. But Michelle Grant is a single mother and the mother of a 25-year-old daughter. Not that you can tell by looking, because Michelle has found the fountain of youth and she looks just like 24. She's also the executive director of the Northgate Youth and Family Development Foundation, which we are operating under the auspices of this afternoon. She's also a financial advisor. So for all your financial advice, well, no advertisement here, but we have Edward Parchment, and Edward Parchment is works within. He's a volunteer with the NYFDF, and he also works within the industry, the bauxite industry. And he has two beautiful children, a daughter aged 7 and a son aged 10. And we have Avia Gibbs, and Avia is a mother of two wonderful young men, Casey and Jordan Gibbs. They are 12 and 14, and they are taller than their mother. And we have Paul, as we were told earlier, Paul is the father of 3 young ladies, one 17, one 12, and one 10. And he's in the lookout and searching for that son. That son that's coming. But our panelists, good afternoon. Now, you have been listening and you heard what it is that was said by our presenter. Was there one point that stood out to you more than anything else in what you heard this afternoon? We'll start with Avia.
Good afternoon. One point, that's difficult. I guess the easy answer is there were many one point.
Well, go ahead. Well, tell us.
But one that I am thinking of is the importance of showing respect to your children. I mean, in simple terminology, do you want persons to respect you regardless of age? And if that is the case, then your children are human beings too. And so it's important for us to show respect. And if we are to be their icons, then we really need to show what it is that we are expecting to get back from them, not because you want it, but because it's the correct thing to do.
Not because a parent wants it, but because it's the correct thing to do. Edward, what was your main takeaway from this afternoon's presentation?
Yes, good afternoon. Very powerful presentation. If I'm supposed to take one point, I will have to go with listening. Just thinking about what listening entails and the technology that involves in listening. There's so much that is wrapped up into it. And Mr. Bowen just presented some of them. We talk about patience, we talk about self-control. Now, those are attributes which, I mean, if you have those attributes, you'll become a better listener. And it's very, very important, even speaking from a standpoint as a parent, listening, because children always have something to say. That's my experience. They always have something to say. So I have to be a listener, and I'm encouraging parents to be a good listener. You have to have your ears open. They're willing, always willing to listen. I think that's where the communication begins. So that's a powerful point for me this afternoon.
Children always have something to say. Michelle?
Good afternoon. For me, I am looking at the point that Mr. Boynes mentioned about the one who engages the child is the one who influences the child. For me, that's very powerful. Relationship, I think, is key. Is key because if you don't have a strong relationship with your child, you cannot influence or engage your child. So I see the need for parents to to really look at the relationship, the type of relationship, things that really matters most. I'm thinking also about the whole thing of quality time. I think it is more important for parents to spend quality time with children instead of providing. Provision is important, but there must be a balance. So I will walk away with that today. There are so many things that I heard, so many things that I'm learning. I still need to be listening more, even though I have a 25-year-old. And so that is what I want to share today.
Thank you. And we'll go to Paul Campbell.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Are you
Paul,
hearing me? Are you hearing me?
loud and clear.
Okay, good afternoon. All right. Everybody said everything, but two things that is standing out. Your conduct speaks more to your children than your words. All right. You can say all you want to say. At the end of the day, my child is going to say, but daddy, that is what I saw you do. But daddy, that is what I hear you say. So as Mr. Bones mentioned, the issue of how I conduct myself is paramount. Because the child is going to look at that. The child is not going to say, well, daddy, so you must do this or this. So why daddy not doing it too? Although there are adult stuff to do and there are children stuff to do, your basic behavior, how you carry yourself, how you deal with people, is what the child is really looking at. That's what the child reading. So like Mr. Bowens mentioned, the boy who's carrying on, that's what he's seeing father doing. Father can't say anything. As far as him is concerned, if it was so bad, why is daddy doing it? You know, that it must be a good thing that they have a woman every week. So let's try that. And so my conduct is very, very important. All right. The other issue I'm looking at is unconditional love. Please reinforce to the children, tell them, pull your child aside, put him down, look eye to eye and say, I love you. I really and truly love you. Reinforcing the child your love for them. Because most of us, if he get a yeah. If he get a D, you have to kill him. But there's no reinforcement of I love you regardless of the issues and situations. And so that stands out for me too, the reinforcement of love in the children. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. One of the things that Mr. Boynes always emphasizes and states, he always says in his presentation that it doesn't matter how a child was conceived, right? A child could be conceived, yes, within marriage, outside of marriage. It could be after a party and persons just drank a lot and so on. But it doesn't matter how the child was conceived, but God allowed that child to come. And in Jeremiah, it says, I knew you before you're formed in your mother's womb, right? So we must communicate to our children that because they are here, God has a purpose for them, even before they came out of their mother's womb. I will insert at this point that the Catalyst Bookstore, which is our sponsor, has books on parenting. There are so many books on parenting because not all of us are natural parents, and sometimes I bore a child, or as a man would say, okay, well, I give a child whatever it is, but parents need to be taught. There are principles that some parents were never taught, and so we need to be taught. That's why we're having this seminar this evening. And also there are books. So the Catalyst Bookstore, that's at shop number 44, Ocean Village Shopping Center, Ocho Rios.
Phone number.
The phone number 974-3710. 876, which is our area code, 974-3710 for the Catalyst. Our email address, bookstore@northgateglobal.com. bookstore@northgateglobal.com. The second question I will ask our parents this afternoon: what gives you the most joy for being a parent? And I'll start with you, Edward. What gives you joy, the most joy? I know it's that joyful process. What gives you most joy?
Well, I'm actually smiling, so there's a lot of joy right now. But that's a question which I always ask myself. What is the joy in being a parent? A parenting can be very hectic. But I think for me, it's just to understand, and I'm using it from the context that I'm also inside of the kingdom, that each child, Mr. Bonshade, God has put them here with a purpose. And as a parent, I have an opportunity. I say it's an opportunity for me to, help to develop and to unearth and to, bring that purpose out in them. There's so much potential that is locked up in a child, so much. And I think as a parent, I have the responsibility to help, to guide that and to nurture that so that those potentials are realized. So I think that is one of my greatest joy.
Very good. You're happy. Michelle, same question. What gives you the most joy?
Well, I can truly say that I enjoy being a parent. And I think more so that the fact that he's 25 years old, I can truly say that I it did not come easy. There were so many different processes, so many different things. But I think most importantly now for me is the fact that she has become such the adult that she is today. That really brings me joy. And the fact that there are so many things that I see in her that I know I had to change in me. I had to first become a better person so she could be the individual she's today. Um, Again, the joy comes also because of the spiritual space that we share. It's a joy to see where she is today. The fact that we are in the same place. That brings me joy.
Okay. Avia Gibbs, also known as Gibbsy.
There are many things that I consider to be joyful moments. But if I had to choose one, I would say to be at the stage where I can see my sons, I can see how serious they are about their personal relationship with God and how ferociously they guard that. Everything else is built on that. And so, without any apology, that is the greatest joy.
Beautiful. And because I also feel proud, those two wonderful gentlemen, watch out for the name Gibbs in the tennis landscape of Jamaica, because you're going to be seeing them on the Jamaican landscape and internationally. Just listen out for them. Paul Campbell,
Yes, ma'am.
what gives you the most joy with your girls?
Um, a couple of things. Spending time with them first and foremost. So I think the shutdown really, I know the shutdown have me not working, but I'm just enjoying the days. I can remember yesterday Gracie came and said, "Daddy, I cook," and Daddy get something to eat, and long time things like that happen. So that the time spent very precious for me, right? The second thing is to see their development, their core spiritual development, how they're developing, moving forward from the as Ava said, from the space of a spiritual dimension. That is good for me. And the building relationship with them now. Because three different age groups, one primary school, one high school, one outer high school, three different relationships. And so the time just spending to cut and carve and push and pull, fitting and twisting, seeing how this work for this one and this work for that one. I am enjoying it. I'm totally enjoying it. So the time with them, just building and seeing how they develop is what is joy for me right now.
So the common thread that we're hearing from our parents is that parenting is a joy. It's not easy all the time, but it is a joy. Now, what is a challenge? And I'll start with you, Paul. What is a challenge you have had in communicating with your children? And tell us, how did you conquer that? So what's one challenge or two that you have had in communicating with your children, and how did you overcome it?
All right. So the one of the challenges is communicating with three different age groups. Because how Kayla deals with things as a primary school student, as a child in primary school, Grace is a high school, total different scenario. And then Livia is another, because Livia is adult now, basically. So learning how that I can't talk to Grace like how I talk to Kayla, and neither can I talk to Kayla like how I talk to Livia. Learning the three different spheres, and functioning accurately in that. So to overcome that, what I had to do was spend time with each person, learning, listening, shutting up and listening. And seeing the little nuances, the little movements, seeing how they shift seeing the situations. They might be talking, they might be talking and them probably carrying you away. Them probably don't want daddy to know this, so them saying this that way. Or them really want daddy to hear, but they don't know how to say it. So learning to listen to those little signals and fine tuning and figuring out. And as Mr. Bowens rightly said, listen, 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 and learning to listen. And that has brought me through many hurdles and brought us to a place now where I can have a excellent conversation. We can sit and chat, and I can pick up the signals and learn how to navigate my course. And that is what I have used to solve the problem. Mainly listening and learning, learning from them. Thank you.
All right. So what I heard Paul saying is shut up and listen. Michelle.
And I'd share the same point. I had to shut up a few times and listen. I think during the teenage years, early high school years were the most challenging. I think just at a different development stage, maybe, and influences from other places. And I had to change with the change. One of the things that I had to implement at home was an open door policy. Literally, no bedroom doors can be shut. Only the bathroom door you shut when you need privacy. Leave all open. Because, teenagers have a time when they go into the rooms and they shut the doors and they stay until they're hungry, they come out to eat something. So that had to change. I had to learn to listen more. I had to learn to ask questions more instead of dictating. One thing that worked for me was the whole thing of it takes a village principle. Because I realized at that stage, well, I realized before, but it really came home at that stage when I knew that I could not do it alone. So I did not hesitate to have other persons, of course, my church community, that played a very, very important role in her development. So I allowed others to come in. I didn't do it all by myself. So I think that worked for me.
Thank you. Edward.
Yes, similar to what Paul and Michelle had shared, learning the signals, learning the signals. My kids, they are 2 years apart, but that can make a difference in terms of even the gender. I think from early stage, I realized that there were differences in terms of, how they even communicate, how they express themselves. And one of the things that I was able to use to overcome was with the help of my wife. Both of us saw that there were differences. And in just having conversation and say, okay, but, one is different from the other one. This way they behave, this way they express. And we start communicating and we start picking up things and we share, we discuss it and we share what we are seeing. Just the way they express themselves. But just the conversation I had with my wife, and we're able to look at things and to really identify commonalities. Both of us were on the same page at the end of the day to say, okay, this one communicates this way, the other one communicates this way. So when I'm communicating, she's communicating the same way. So I think that helped to overcome the challenge. Just using an example, up to last night, I was at home and my daughter came to me and said, Daddy, I need to talk to you. And she brought me into the room. That's how she is. And she started expressing herself. And I had to listen to her. And she's very emotional. So at the end of the day, I had to give her a hug, give her a kiss, and say, okay, I understand what you're doing. And we agreed. We agreed on some terms. My son, I have to go for him. I have to dig things out of him. So just to understand how to get them to that place to open up and to really express it. And as I said, it's not me alone, my wife is there. So we are on the same page. And that helps in the process of really overcoming, that challenge.
Beautiful. Avia. And well, just before Avia answers, for our viewers online, we are inviting questions. If there are any questions, please type and we will respond.
One challenge that I faced.
Or two.
Okay, I'll choose one. I remember years ago, even before Jordan was born, Mr. Boyne said to me, "You're too intense. I can't deal with you, and you're so intense." I think what he was speaking about was when I got to a certain level of focus, it's like I imposed blinders on myself, and it's like I didn't see anybody else in my peripheral vision. I was just zoned into whatever it was that was my focus. And I took note of it and I carried it with me into becoming a mother. And I realized that there are times when I would focus on what was wrong. It's like having the eye for the thing that wasn't done and the target that was not met, to the extent that that became the overarching thing rather than commending for the 499 things that went right. Commend rather than focus on the one thing, the one mark that they missed. How did I overcome that? I worked on my posture. I worked on myself. I recognized that it was something that I needed to change, first of all. And I allowed them into my process. We spoke a lot about it. I shared them processes that I was engaged in. And that also allowed them to know my heart and know the place from which I came. So whenever I had to correct, they understood, look, it's not because, boy, she don't like me today, but it's out of a heart of love. But the starting place really was I had to work on myself and I had to let them recognize that, look here, mommy is not perfect. And we're in this process of development together. So,
So we are hearing also that, and something that our presenter spoke about, that we should not be disrespectful to our children. Show them respect. They are humans, right? They are not little persons, they are persons, right? And so we should be respectful. And so we can't beat respect out of them for us without showing them respect. Now, our final question, and this, what is it that you would say to our viewers online? So we have parents, we have guardians. I'm sure there are some children listening and say, yes, mom, you hear that? You know, or daddy, you hear that? What advice would you give to parents and guardians that's listening this afternoon and watching us? What is it that you would say to them? One word of advice, two, whatever it is. What comes from the heart? We're going to be starting with Paul.
Okay, thank you. All right, so the first thing I want to say is work on having a correct relationship or correct relationships around you and a correct relationship with your child. You can't be trying to discipline the child and you have a boyfriend, you have a girlfriend, you have common law marriage, people, they have relation, they jump in and out of relationship. You must have stability in your relationship that the child can understand what a relationship is and how it functions. So begin to correct your life as a parent that the child can have proper example. All right. Work on having proper communication with your child by learning how to listen to them. Because as Mr. Boyne says, a lot of parents, they don't listen. You just hear your friend say about your child and you jump off. Hear the child full story. Hey, some children lie. I'm not saying they don't, but hear the full story and discern what is happening. All right. If you know your child well enough, you will know the tweaks where you know say, nah, something wrong with that story. But learn to that proper level of communication. Listen out the child before you jump to conclusion. Tell the children that you love them. Fathers, hug your sons. So, fathers, tell your sons, I love you. There are boys out there who never hear that, then, and it don't mean say you're gay. It means that as a father, you love your child, and that reinforces in the child that somebody cares, somebody loves. There are boys out there who have never heard them father say, I love you. And as far as them is concerned, daddy does have me and throw me out and me they go on. And so, because he has never had that patriarchal love in him don't know how to deal with it either. Him have broken relationships. So learn to say to the children, I love you. Learn to hug your boys. Learn to hug your girls. Fathers, love and hug your girls that they know that you love them first and they understand what the correct love is. That when a boy comes and tell her all kind of foolishness, she remembers saying, no, daddy said that is so I go. All right. And build that correct relationship with the child. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll just jump in here. When Paul spoke about the father and the child, I remember at our the last session, that physical session that we had, I remember there was a father and his son, and we were giving out a prize. The Catalyst bookstore, we were giving out a prize, and I think he might have been the only male that was in the session. And so we're giving out a prize, and we gave a prize to the son, and it had the pink colors on it. And the father said to him, "No man, give him the blue one. Give him the blue one." So I said, "Wait, no man, a man no wear pink." So I said, "No." Me tell him, some man, no, look here, not give him the blue one. So as I heard Paul saying that just now, that came back to mind, telling your child, your male child, that you love them. Pink does not mean if he wants to wear a pink shirt, that doesn't mean he's gay, right? So fathers, just teaching the right principles to your child. That was just what came back to mind. Michelle.
Parents lead by example. Our children copy us, and the lives that we live is pretty much what we will see coming out of our children. And when we lead by example, that's the only way we have the authority to speak to our children. So be careful how we live.
Thank you, Edward.
Yes, I think Paul said some of what I'm going to say, but I'll say it still. I think the first one is be an example. The parenting starts with us. Starts with us, not the child. The child needs a role model, it needs an example, it needs a template, and we have to be that template. Also, I would say start conversations with your children. Talk to them, communicate. You don't wait for them to come to you. You go to them. You start a conversation. And soon and after, you'll realize that the conversation will be just spontaneous. Play with your children. It's a non-verbal way of communicating to them. Play with them. Hug them. Tell them that you love them. So I will say those are some of the things I will encourage parents to do.
Thank you, Avia.
I think everybody has said this, but it is so important that it needs to be emphasized again. The importance of be the person who you want your children to become. It does not make sense you tell them what it is that they're to do if when they look at your life, there is divergence. So it's important to be the person that you want your children to become. The other thing is children need a basis on which to make moral decisions. If as a parent you don't provide that, then you cannot expect that the child will suddenly, like magic, turn 20 and be a morally upstanding person. So it begs the question, what systems are you going to put in place as a parent? I can talk about the systems I have put in place and it works. I can talk about the manual, the Bible that works for me, the principles that are time tested, that works for me, and I can only share what works. And the final thing I would talk about is the importance of building memories, good memories, so that when years pass in the passage of time, you can sit back and have a good laugh about you remember when. That is important. It's important. It's an important aspect of development that we miss if we are so busy working and taking care of their physical needs that we neglect those more important needs.
Thank you. I'm just looking online at some of our comments, and someone is saying, yes, listening is very important. It's so true. Someone else agreed, yes, listening is very, very important. David here says, respect is truly important in all relationships, for the kingdom is built on people's life. Wayne says, so true. A lot of us forget that our children have a voice, and a lot of time us as parents don't value that. Take the time to sit your children down and just talk and let them express themselves. Somebody here says, dance a yard before you dance abroad, right? Another person says, parents should be the role model for their children. We must be ready to learn how to become better parents so that our children can see and experience parental maturity. And the final person here says, there must be integrity in how we interact at home. Words must be complemented by lifestyle. So any questions from anyone on our chat? I've seen your comments. Any questions for the panel or for our presenter? Okay. And let me just say one more thing here about the Catalyst Bookstore. One of our mission and our objectives is to supply life-changing materials and resources for strong family life, to interface with schools, churches, and other institutions which are geared towards community development. The core values of the Catalyst Bookstore are sacrificial service, consistency, integrity, respect, commitment, servanthood, and we believe that values-based customer service is key. We know about customer service, all over customer service, but we believe values-based, do unto others as you would want to have done unto you. Some of the books that we get from that you can have from the Catalyst, there is a book called 8 Simple Tools for Raising Great Kids. There's another that says Train Up a Child. Another book that you can get is Parenting with Loving Correction, a practical help for raising young children. There's another that says Nights in Training. And one of the things also that we encourage, we also have games. Families should take the time to play games. I remember when I was growing up, we used to have Snake and Ladder and Ludo and Monopoly and Scrabble, right? And so we need to do things with our children, play games that builds a whole lot of things, that builds the whole thing of being competitive, and that yes, we will lose sometimes and we know how to take losses respectfully, and that we will win and we will not gloat over our wins. The new Dare to Discipline. Also, as we said, there are school books from tots right to high school and beyond. The Catalyst Bookstore, shop number 44, Ocean Valley Shopping Center, Ocho Rios. The phone number 876-974-3710, and I'll give you our WhatsApp number in just a little. Any questions? Let me see if we have any questions from our. All right, persons are just saying they're checking in. Anything that you, any burning issue that comes out? Edward, I can see you want to say something, and I will not leave here unless it comes out.
Okay, all right. I'm not saying I'm really happy for the opportunity to really be a part of this. And I know that there are a lot of parents at this time who are going through testing times right now. You know, Mr. Bowen shared, you know, the whole fact that we have an opportunity now that we can see our children closer than and how we used to be. We have more time for that. So I'll encourage parents to really take the time out to really, you know, understand their child or their children more. You know, take the quality time out. There are a lot of stuff that can be distracting at times, even though you might be at home. You know, put things down, stop doing some of the things and really spend time with the children. They are crying out. They are crying out for this. And I think you know, a lot of things that we see in a society is as a result of the broken homes where the parenting skills are not being fostered, they are not being developed properly. So if we don't develop our children properly, then that cycle will continue into the next generation. So we have an opportunity here now. I think this is an avenue, this is a media for really sending the message out there and to continue to work at being better parents. So for me, this is very important, and I continue to build, continue to really put these into my parenting skills. But I'll encourage everyone else who are parents, parent to be, to really look at these things and implement them. Let them be practical.
Okay, Paul, final words. The Catalyst is open Mondays to Fridays, 9 a.m. through to 5 p.m. And on Saturdays, the Catalyst is open from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. The Catalyst may also be contacted via WhatsApp. You may send in your orders. The orders will be prepared, and we can arrange for delivery for you. 876-293-1150. That's 876-293-1150. That's our WhatsApp contact. Paul, final words.
Thanks. For me, I want to encourage the men, the fathers in the families to take the reign, begin to understand that you lead. God asks you to lead your family. And so don't back up from that. It don't, a lot of men tell me, but my wife can read better than me and my wife go to school. God said you are the leader. Trust in God to move forward. Live honestly, live from your heart. Learn to trust in God. Learn to develop yourself as a man. Understand that the family will really not move and shift until the men move and shift. So I'm going to encourage the men to begin to rise up in the family and become who God has called you to be as the leader of the home, as the leader of the house. Let your children see that you're living honestly, you're living cleanly, build correct relationships, set an example for them that they can see, yes, daddy can do it, so I can do it too. Because a lot of times, one of the failures we have is that we as men, we don't pull our weight. So I'm encouraging the men that you can do it. The God we serve is able to push you through. We can do it. Men, rise up in your families, rise up in your homes, take authority over the situation, build correct relationship with your wives so your children can see what a relationship is all about and how it works. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll just end with the two ladies. That's Avia Gibbs, then Michelle, and then we'll go back to our facilitator for this afternoon. Go ahead, Avia. Final words, yes.
Final words. It's wonderful to hear. It does not really amount to anything unless it is implemented. So let's go and implement.
Okay. Michelle.
Okay, thank you. Much was said this afternoon. I just want to speak to the single parents who may be listening. Being single doesn't mean that there's no support. There's always strong support systems. We just need to find ourselves in the right places. I personally have been supported all the way up to this point. And I am truly grateful for the support system, family, church community. So just to encourage us that I know it is said, it is commonly said that kids coming out of single parents' homes are sometimes dysfunctional. They're tagged so many different names. It is not necessarily so. So that would be my encouragement to this parent.
Thank you. I'm seeing a question here, and it says, how do you designate time for the children individually? What do you recommend? So how do you designate time for the children individually? What do you recommend?
Okay. The question to close with. I think we need to understand that each child is different and unique. God made the mold for that child, he threw the mold away. All right? We cannot have a one-size-fits-all approach in managing our children. That approach will meet the needs of one child, and the other child will become sidetracked. Two of my children were born on the same day, but yet they are different. So parents need to understand that. And then when you understand that, then you'll pay attention to how that particular child is made up, what works for that child, what doesn't work for that child, and all of that. Okay, what are their strong points? What is this one's strong point? Well, if you just see children generally through a one-dimensional perspective, and they're all children, and we don't understand the diversity and the complexity and the differences which God have placed inside of each child, then we'll end up going down the wrong path. So I think once that is in place, then you will naturally find yourself in a position to meet the needs of each child. I have 3 children, and that's 3 totally different individuals, very, very different from each other. 3 require 3 different approaches and 3 different responses to the same situation. So I think that's the core issue which parents have to come to grip with. And it doesn't matter whether you're rich or you're poor, whether you're in a house and you have 6 children and 1 bedroom. I grew up in a very poor situation myself. So I understand how that can be used as an excuse. Okay? But yet, my mother she treated every one of us, she has a totally different relationship with every one of us. It was about 10 of us plus 1 died, it would have been 11. Okay, so I know it could be done. And but the key is context. Michelle spoke about she didn't do it alone, right? And a lot of parents are struggling with their children because they are not in the proper context where there's good leadership and where there's good role models and all of that. It's just not the parent. I'm hearing all these ridiculous WhatsApp voice notes putting around the place of parents praying for school to open because they can't take 1 more day with these children and all this crazy stuff. I want to know if these people come from another planet. You should be happy to be home with your children. And I understand where they're coming from. And it's not that they hate their children, but they don't know how to deal with being with their own children. And to me, one of the issues is they are not in a proper context where parental skills are being passed on, where they have good men to stand alongside the single mother and be an example to her sons or her daughters, where they're not around good relationships with help to surround the kids. So you single mother out there, you father out there, you mother and father out there struggling on your own to bring up your children. Find the right context. Find a good church. One good church is our church, Philadelphia Life Center. We take care of our parents and we surround them. Okay? Find yourself in a good spiritual context where you get that support. Now is a good time for parents to be home with children. It's not a time to be terrorized and praying for school to be open so the teacher will take over. What can a teacher do for your children that you cannot do for yourself? If that's the case, it means that you are not really bringing up your children as a teacher. So parents, let's get a grip of ourselves. And I'm going to pray that the Lord will just help the parents who are out there struggling. While we are teaching this, we are mindful of the mother who's out there abandoned by the children's father. And other issues like that. We are aware of the parents who don't know what to do, how to relate to their teenagers. Okay, these situations can be very complex. So we want to pray. We want to pray for you right now as we close. Let's all pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for today. We thank you for the wonderful interaction we had. Father, the wonderful discussion. But we are aware that there are situations out there which seems to be impossible. There are mothers out there who don't know what to do with their sons. There are fathers out there who don't know how to build relationships with their teenage daughters. Father, there are fathers out there who don't know how to mentor their own sons because of wrong trends and wrong examples and wrong customs being passed down. I pray for the parent out there who has no context, no leadership, no proper doctrine and teaching that will empower him or her to be a better parent. And Father, I pray that you will take this discussion and empower people. Let there be a mighty empowerment of parents flowing out of this broadcast. I just stretch my hands towards the persons who are listening, Lord. And let today be a day of breakthrough. Let today be a day of light. Let light shine upon these parents. Let their eyes be open. Those who are feeling hopeless and are ready to give up on their child, I pray that you will cause hope to flow mightily into their hearts, Father, and cause them to hear the wisdom of the kingdom flowing into their situation, and they can see a better tomorrow before them. We thank you for today. We thank you for our panelists and our moderator, and we thank you for a wonderful discussion. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Amen. We'll see you soon. Okay, we'll be back. This is not the last time. But bless you all. I hand over to our moderator.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much for joining our friends, our parents, our guardians. And during this, we're not thanking God for the COVID-19, but because of this, you were able to join us online. And so we're happy for this. But during this time, remember to keep your physical distance, but do not socially distance yourself from others. Reach out to others. Use social media for good. Right? Use social media for good. Reach out to others. Keep physically distant. And what is it that we do? We do the elbow bump. All right. So no further. No further. Okay. Stay right there. All right. Thank you so very much. Remember, this seminar will be on YouTube. You can still share it with your friends so that they can hear. We will be monitoring. So if there are questions, our team here will respond to the questions, whatever questions you may have. And you may contact us at 876, if you have any, 974-8616. So if you have any queries and you want to reach out to us, 876-974-8616. Thank you so very much. Have a wonderful evening.